good evening, and welcome to a working lunch with Nordin. Today we've got Nav joining us from London. It's his lunchtime where he is, so we're still within our lunchtime gambit. Of course, here where we are in Malaysia, we've just finished dinner, but really, I want to thank you, Nav, for joining us as our special guest this evening or this afternoon on a working lunch with Nordin, and we're kind of excited to learn a little bit more about the washing machine project. I mean, I know most people just throw their stuff in a washing machine when they get home, or their moms do their washing, or their wife does their washing. But you've really found a huge problem, which is kind of exciting whenever I see something like that. So tell us a little bit about yourself now, and tell us how you got to where you are today with the washing machine project.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Nordin, and thank you for the invite as well. And it's so nice to talk to an audience in Malaysia. I love the country. I've been there many times, and yeah, it's really nice to engage with the Malaysian audience and right across the world with your audience. So thank you. Thank you for the introductions. Yeah, my name is Nav, and I'm the founder of the washing machine project. And I'll go into what the washing machine project does a bit later. But me personally, my story really starts here in the UK. I was born and brought up in London. My parents grew up in the partition, so my dad fled his home with his family, with the clothes on his back, and then they lost everything. So that really kind of instilled this passion to help refugees. That's one story, and the second story is my father died when I was very young, and so I've always been surrounded by my mother and my two sisters. So I really understand the power of women and women empowerment and the livelihoods of women, and how amazing women are, and how lucky I am to be around amazing women. So I am an engineer. I was always obsessed with engineering. My dad was an aerospace engineer, and I'd be obsessed with taking apart appliances and never knowing how to put them back together again. And my mum complaining all the time about that when I was a kid. And choosing engineering was a very natural transition for me at university. And I finished up university, and I joined Dyson's graduate program. And for me, that was a dream come true to join such a prestigious company. But about three and a half years into my stint at Dyson, I got really fed up of making vacuum cleaners for rich people, and I wanted my engineering to help people around the world.
They are good vacuum cleaners,
and so I quit my job and I went on sabbatical. If you can imagine coming from a South Asian Indian family and saying I want to quit my job, she wasn't very happy about that. But I quit my job, and I was making clean and efficient cook stoves in rural South India, in villages in South India, for people who use solid fuels. There I met my neighbor, next door neighbor called Divya. Divya was this amazing lady. She was 31 at the time. She got married at the age of 16. She spoke perfect English, the only lady on the street that spoke English. She wanted to work but didn't have the time. She had 2 kids, and she couldn't afford much, so gas, electricity was a struggle. So she'd collect firewood, continuous running electricity for light. So Suguma, her 7-year-old son, couldn't study at night, for example, because of power cuts, and she didn't have access to an electric washing machine, so she should hand wash her own clothes, and it was really backbreaking work. She used to spend hours and hours just doing this one unpaid activity, and it was really a promise to Divya to make her a manual washing machine using my own engineering knowledge and know-how. That the washing machine project was born. And so essentially, long story short, the washing machine project make manual washing machines for people like Divya around the world that save time, water, and effort. And it affects 70% of the world's population, so a majority women.
It's a huge number. I think we started to get some questions coming in already. And really, one of the things I'm looking down because that's what I'm reading. What were some of the the big challenges that you faced when you started this project? Obviously, your mom wasn't happy that you left a big high-paying job, and the stress must have been pretty high at the same time. But what were your challenges in terms of getting the business going, getting the concept going? What went on with your thinking process?
Yeah, so for me personally, I've always been under the mindset that, you know, if you really kind of push yourself at something and keep turning up and keep being reliable, then, you know, things start to move. And that first instance of having that idea in my head, I recognized I couldn't do it alone. And so we have this incredible team around us at the Washing Machine Project, primarily pro bono support. These are amazing, dedicated volunteers. They give up their time, their effort, and their support to help the Washing Machine Project's cause. So it's about empowering people on the mission, on the story about why this is a problem that's not going away, and how can we solve it as a group. So that was first instance. So getting the right people with the right mindset that will support but also challenge the Washing Machine Project's mission. So you need a kind of diverse set of individuals around you. The second thing is to make sure that we're working in a credible and ethical way. So, you know, credibility was really important, and so we started very, very quickly in trying to do research, understanding the problem. You know, we're not here with a finished final solution, but we're going to get there, and it's about everyone to come and join us on the journey.
Nice.
And I think those two things are really, really important. And then, you know, the support has been phenomenal over the last couple of years. I remember 2 years ago when we had to literally knock on the doors of agencies like the UN. I was in Lebanon at the time, trying to do some work in refugee camps there, and I would go door to door at different agencies. They would be all down the same street, and I'd knock on their doors uninvited and say, "Hey, I have this idea. Can you help us?" And they, you know, 5 out of 10 times they'd let us in, and we'd just talk, you know. And I think it's making sure that we're not alone on this journey. We believe in the power of partnerships, and our mission is very clear. You know, we want to help this second problem primarily against women on unpaid labor, and we want to empower them and give them greater agency.
Nice. Of course, I'm actually half Lebanese by descent, so you're helping those back in Lebanon who are obviously in a much more difficult situation. But a lot of people are. I mean, some of the questions came up in terms of humanitarian aid and humanitarian reality. What have you seen in terms of what has happened with COVID-19? I mean, one thing that I've seen is like everyone's saying, you know, we're all suffering, then we can't help you. What's your experience in terms of humanitarian realities in COVID-19 with your project?
Yeah, so the COVID-19 pandemic has really set back decades of progress for women empowerment and gender equality, specifically in the we expect people to keep clean. It's primarily, unfortunately, the role of the women to do child caring or caregiving duties, collecting water in more crowded spaces. Domestic violence has gone up. Poverty has increased in these environments. And so, yeah, it's a really tough time for people who live in humanitarian settings, especially women. And my call to action is, whilst the vaccine program here in the UK has gone incredibly well, when as humankind, we're not going to be safe until everyone is safe. And I think I urge governments around the world to really mirror what Dr. Tedros of the World Health Organization said, and to consider donating vaccines to impoverished nations, because it's going to really matter for these people. But there are great initiatives going on, and I think with the pandemic, there's a lot of focus on water, sanitation, and hygiene, and that's specifically where the washing machine project lies in its practices and focus. And so there's some really cool things happening, and I think it's highlighted the importance of keeping clean. How do people keep clean going forwards from here on out? I'll finish on this, which is when the UK went through lockdown, and they're now easing, laundrettes were seen as an essential business. And I think that's a really, whilst other businesses were closed, laundrettes were allowed to keep open. And I think that's a really powerful statement from a government like the UK that says, they champion laundrettes and washing your clothes is essential. And I think that's a really strong mandate for refugee camps and development settings around the world to right now, someone like Divya is getting on her hands and knees in lakes, rivers, and streams, causing back pain, joint pain, and skin irritation for up to 20 hours a week on this one activity. So it needs to change.
Exactly. I've got some questions. I know some more questions have come in, and we'll get to those in a second. But one of the things that I thought about was the calorie, the calories that you're saving by doing this, as opposed to spending hours and hours, like what you said at the stream. Your washing machine is actually saving calories. When people are trying to get nutrition, trying to get enough food for themselves, actually you're saving calories. I don't know if you've done any research, and I wanted to ask you, did you do any research around how many calories were saved for people on a daily, weekly, monthly basis?
Yeah, so essentially what happens now is on average people, primarily women, hand wash clothes on their hands and knees for on average about 14 to 15 hours a week, and we've seen case studies of 20, 24, 25, 30 hours depending on the sizes of the family. The average size of a refugee family in Iraq is about 9, for example, and I've seen families of 15, 16. So for one woman to do this washing, it's just really unfair. And so the washing machine project solution, which is actually called the Divya, named after the inspiration, we save 75% of time compared to hand washing clothes, and 50% of water. And so the specific calorific definition of that, I would love to do. I think that'd be a really good exercise. I think you've given me some inspiration to do that now, to define how much calories saved. I think is good. Yeah. So it decreases effort because you're not kind of on your hands and knees scrubbing each piece of cloth. You put all of your clothes in the machine. It's manual. It's off the grid, and within half an hour, compared to your traditional 2 hours, your clothes are washed. You stand up whilst you use it. It causes it causes positive posture, and we would love to show the video of how it's
you wanna have a look? Let's show the video now. I mean, we've got some of your videos. Let's see. Here we go.
Yeah, so this video here is us testing the Divya machine for the first time in our workshop in London. And here you've seen a kind of section that we've cut away to see the kind of the turning of the clothes. And this agitation turning is what's going to clean the clothes, and that foaming. So yeah, you stand up whilst you use it. It's got a large drum capacity for larger families and intended low water consumption as well.
In terms of cost to a family, and the other thing I just thought of, I mean, and this is kind of interesting. I got like a ton of questions. Sorry, Rosanna, I know you asked like 3 questions. Like, asked 2. I haven't asked them yet. But could it be that this is a community washing machine where one family could use it for 2 hours and then another family? Or what's your experience there in terms of shared resources?
Yeah, it's a really good question, Nordin. And service-based facilities and laundrettes is a model that we're actively exploring. In areas where like a domestic one-for-one approach doesn't work or cannot be afforded, a service-based model is appropriate, and we're actively trying to collaborate with some of the largest companies around the world to help us achieve those service-based models. So yeah, hopefully we have a bit more detail on that in the next year or so of how we try to achieve a kind of laundrette, a Divya laundrette type washing machine.
Okay, nice. And the other one, a couple of people asked, can they get it delivered to Palestine? I think someone asked also to deliver to Myanmar. Someone I was speaking to earlier today said, how do we get these things delivered to refugee camps? How do we do that? What's that engagement model with you?
Yeah, so right now we have done work in 11 countries. We've interviewed over 1,000 families, and we've distributed in Iraq. And over the next year, we're going to be distributing in a further 4 countries. And our target for the next 2 years is to distribute 7,500 washing machines. And that's now happening with the support of Electric Components, which is a large organization who have funded the project to help the development and the deployment of these washing machines. So big shout out to Electric Components and the TWMP Foundation, who is a grant-giving charity that made this possible. In terms of engagement in humanitarian settings, we do this with 3 different methods. So we need to find out whether there's a need first. Yeah. So we often engage with agencies. So, for example, we're talking to Save the Children right now in Turkey and in Uganda, and we would conduct a kind of research report into the need, whether there's a need for an application like the washing machine project. We would then send out questionnaires to find out if there's that need. So that was a second phase. And then we would package that up into a report and find out whether there's a need, whether people want it. And then stage 3 would be piloting the project and seeing what the adoption is of the machine. And then, finally a kind of mass rollout of a refugee camp application and things like that. I think that's really important, is the community adoption. the last thing that we'd want to do is send out something to someone that they don't use, they don't find any value in. So I'm here as the head of this organization to really drive home that this is a user-centered design. Every family that we speak to, the thousands of families that we've spoken to, is a promise to them to make their life better. And that's my passion, to make sure that adoption is high. This is widely accepted in the community as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Rosanna also asked that it's been upgraded to the Divya 2. How did you guys, what was your development process? How did you get from where you first started, and what's the upgrade meant for users, as well as in terms of improved materials, improved carbon footprints, and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's a really valid question, and we will always forever be evolving. This is Divya 1 that we've created. We're in current development for Divya 1.5, and Divya 2 will be next year and thereafter. But the way that we go through our design process is that we really distribute this out and let them use it. Let the people, the beneficiaries, the people that we're trying to target, use it. Let's observe how they use it. Let's observe how they interact with it. And that's how we managed to get this metric of the 75% time save and 50% water save, is because people are telling us that this is what's been occurring. That being said, there's massive improvements and massive gains that we have already made on Divya 1. For example, in the video you saw that it's wood. It's made out of wood, and wood isn't the greatest or lightest material. So we're changing away from that. We're trying to incorporate multiple modes of interaction so people with disabilities can use it. We are increasing the robustness, and we're trying to make this as desirable as possible compared to a washing machine, an electric washing machine. So we want it to feel, interact. We want it the same outcomes as an electric washing machine, or better. And
nice.
Those are the kind of key development areas that we're looking at on the washing machine project.
Awesome. No, I really appreciate your time today. I'm really excited about this project and how you are taking a huge problem, which probably no one was not worried. It's okay, the women are doing that. Don't worry. But the reality is, it's a huge problem. It's a huge opportunity for saving time, saving also environmental impact. I think is also going to be a very interesting data. And I like the fact that you are taking a research-based approach. So you're not just shoving down solutions down people's throats. You're actually getting to that perspective where you're actually helping people from the perspective what they want, as opposed to what you tell them that they want, which is always a nice thing. Before we close off today's session, is there a website that we can go to? Is there a place that we can go to? I mean, we can put that in the comments below as well. But what can we do, and where can we go?
Yeah, thank you, Nordin. Thanks for the time. And we're here as an organization that wants to keep creating solutions that help people. So we're looking actively at new solutions. So we've already started work on off-the-grid refrigeration and things like that. So we don't want to stop at just washing machines. And we want to become an organization with a state-of-the-art development facility and manufacturing facility that specifically looks at humanitarian problems. That's our passion, and that's our vision for the future. In terms of support and calls to action, £50 donates a washing machine to a refugee camp. You can log on to thewashingmachineproject.org to donate, and you can click that donate button. But also, we believe in the power in partnerships. So we're not here we can't do this alone. And we've
Mm-hmm.
great organizations helping us along the journey. And if someone is listening to this who's interested and wants to engage, please get in touch through the normal channels. And we'd love to accelerate our mission. There's nothing stopping us producing 30,000 machines next year rather than 7,500. So, we want to help as many people as possible, as quick as possible, and we require people like yourselves on platforms like this to really help us. So thank you so much.
No, and we're there for you, and we're excited to keep us updated, and we will knock on your door, or you can knock on our door. We will open. And you want to hear what's going on. Keep our listeners, our viewers updated. I'm sure you'll see a spike in donations coming from this part of the world, and I'll make sure that we also chip in with something as well to get this ball rolling. So I really appreciate your time today, and good luck and continue the good work with the Divya 1, Divya, and Divya 2.
Thank you very much, Nordin. Appreciate that. Thank you. I hope you have a lovely evening ahead. Thank you.
See you then.